got the Ben Shapiro the Batman review. Ben Shapiro the Batman. Now, I like the movie The Batman. Yes, do I understand that the Riddler is just kind of an incel fucking kind of slight at probably the right-wing incel 4chan user. Yeah, but those guys are crazy to begin with, so I could see it totally happening. On top of that, the Riddler was always kind of a cringe character. I didn't like the Riddler suit design. I thought it sucked, but the Riddler has always been kind of a cringe character. And I liked what they did with the Batman. And I thought Catwoman had like a really fucking annoying cringe speech in the movie. I can't remember what part it was. It was kind of like annoying where I rolled my eyes. But other than that, everything else about the Batman I thoroughly enjoyed. I thought it was a fun movie. I can't wait for the sequel. We're about to get into Ben Shapiro, the guy who bows to the God King himself. Ben Shapiro here is going to tell us what we should think about the Batman.
Alrighty, folks. So last night I went and I saw The Batman. My review of that is coming up in just one moment. This video is sponsored by Ring.
Jesus, shut up, bro.
So last night I went and saw The Batman. Went and saw it with my wife. It is 1 million hours long. And it's one of those movies where I started off and I was like, okay. And then I got a little further in and I was like, all right. And then I got to the end, I was like, meh. And then the more I thought about it, the angrier I became. And so you're about to hear.
Oh, dude, look at the side tilt. Wait, hold on. There we go. The angrier I became. The angrier I got. My daughter is so angry because the movie The Batman exists. She is so mad. We have to hide our children, hide our dogs, hide our women because the Batman movie exists. Oh no. What have we got here?
A lot of hot takes on The Batman because I hate
this movie.
Okay, first of all, I'm just going to tell you right up front, spoilers. Spoilers aplenty here. So if you haven't seen the film yet and you want to see the film and you don't want to be spoiled, I'm warning you. You've been warned. All right, this is Detective Batman. So if the original Michael Keaton Batman was sort of crime-fighting Batman and the Christopher Nolan Batman was city-saving Batman, this Batman is supposed to...
Hold on. Here's the correct way to break it down. The Michael Keaton Batman was fucking Batman comics, like the Frank Miller comics meets the 60s comics done by Tim Burton. Like, it works in all those regards, right? It works in all those ways. Then you have the Christopher Nolan Batman, which is, what if Batman was a real person? That is kind of how that breaks down. What if Batman and all his villains were real? How would they look? This is Batman in the real world. And then we have this one, which is fucking Detective Batman. He's right on that. But the other two, I think he mischaracterized. This is one of my biggest gripes when people say, who's the best Joker? I mean, well, all the Jokers kind of did exactly what they needed to for that performance. And I'm talking about the fucking not Heath Ledger, the Jared Leto Joker too. I liked Jared Leto's Joker for that movie. I actually don't hate the Suicide Squad. I had a lot of fun with the first Suicide Squad. I don't think it's great by any means, but I thought it was a fun trash movie that I can just enjoy because it's mindless. I don't hate it. And I'm a very simple man to please. Just give me some fucking cool action scenes. Let me have a little fun with this. Let me enjoy my ride, and I will be happy. So I got that out of Suicide Squad, and I thought Jared Leto did fine for what that movie was trying to do. Now, I think that movie feels like it has a lot of holes, and I feel like the director did something completely different, and Warner Brothers sucks, so they probably shut it down to, well, we should just fucking change the whole thing. Well, anyways, I feel like each Joker has done perfect for what they were contracted to do. And even Jared Leto in the Justice League movie, I thought was really, really good. So, but like, but when I look at like Jared Leto, obviously he wouldn't be good in the Christopher Nolan movies. And then I look at Heath Ledger's Joker, and I know he wouldn't be good in the Tim Burton movies. They were perfect for the roles they were designated, and I just don't like the thing, well, who's the best Joker? I couldn't see Jack doing the Christopher Nolan one, and vice versa with Heath Ledger. I just can't see it happening. They were perfect for their movies, and that's all they needed to do.
To be Detective Batman. And this has a long history in the Batman comics. Some of the best Batman comics, particularly my favorite, The Long Halloween, is rooted in the idea of Batman not just as Caped Crusader, but as a great detective
Wait, I hate to pause it again, but do you think Ben Shapiro actually read The Great Halloween, or do you think somebody on his team read The Great Halloween and said you should use this as a reference point? What do you guys actually think? What do you think, Ben? Do you think Ben Shapiro actually reads comic books? Because from what it always sounds like from him and the rest of the Daily Wire is anybody who reads comic books, anyone who plays video games are childish and stupid, and you should be working at the coal mines. That's always been my problem with the Daily Wire guys, is they always seem like that old conservative that I've never enjoyed. The ones that would like to cancel the Dixie Chicks because they said something bad about George W. Bush, and I'm like, or they hate Howard. They would have hated old Howard Stern because he said edgy shit online. That's what my thoughts on the Ben Shapiro-esque like Daily Wire guys has always been, is they're these stuffy fucking cigar smoking conservatives that would be happy to switch like they would be happily censor anybody that didn't agree with them. I don't know. I just don't see Ben Shapiro being the fucking I believe Ben's nerdum. Maybe I could be completely wrong, but he's never given me the vibes of I'm a huge Batman fan.
Smarter than everybody else, capable of picking up on clues, investigating and tracking down crimes. I'm going to start with what's right with the film because it's going to be real short. So what's right with the film is that it looks great. It is a film noirish take on Gotham City. It almost feels kind of like retro Taxi Driver Gotham City. So everything is very dirty. It's all taking place at night. It's shot in kind of grayscale at times. It's got a lot of warm oranges and reds, but against a very dark black. So it's a lot of muttered dialogue. It feels as though it's taking place in the same city as Joker is taking place. So if you saw Joker, Todd Phillips' Joker, which looks like 1970s New York, it feels almost like the other half of that, but it seems more like the take on what future New York would look like if you were living in New York in 1970. That's sort of a good way of putting it. The music to the film is okay. I think that Michael Giacchino tends to be a little bit derivative in how he does the scores to the films. This one, he basically takes the music that Hans Zimmer and James Newton Howard wrote for Batman Begins in the Nolan trilogy, which the theme goes da-da, and here he just inverts it. So instead of da-da, it's da-da. Okay, fine. So it's a little bit derivative, but the score is totally fine. The acting is okay, as we'll find out.
Here's the thing. I'm already so he's got the acting. I will cover that. But with the score, you have a fucking, look how much shit Ben Affleck got for just putting on the suit, right? So this guy's coming in making a Batman a standalone movie after the Christopher Nolan movies already exist. Ben Affleck got dragged to the fucking mud when Ben Affleck, I think, is the only guy to play Batman who was big enough to play Batman. He was the actual comic-sized Batman. Ben Affleck did a fucking great job, and nobody gives him any credit for that, and it sucks. But if I was Todd Phillips, right, and I was making Batman, and I had to make a score for it, I would say try to make it similar, but enough different that it sounds like its own thing, but has enough nods to Christopher Nolan's, because I want this to be more based in realism. Mine's going to be based in realism, but with some nods and stuff to the comic, and I want it to feel like a real gritty world. So I feel like Todd Phillips, or I think is who's directing it, right? I think he wanted to make his own take on more of a detective style Batman while taking influences from the comics and the Christopher Nolan movies, so fans of both could get something from this IP. I think it was done intentionally, because when you watch the Batman, it feels like a good mashup of a comic book style detective Batman and also the Christopher Nolan style Batman. I think it plays on the ability of both of those very, very well, and I think that was intentional because of the audience's reaction to the Ben Affleck style Batman.
In a second, they give Robert Pattinson nothing to do as Batman. Nothing to do as Batman. I didn't think that Zoe Kravitz had any sort of chemistry with Robert Pattinson. So she's fine.
I would disagree. I think there was a lot of chemistry between Robert Pattinson and Zoe Kravitz. I thought that their back and forth and their chemistry is one of the strongest things in the film. I think Zoe Kravitz did a phenomenal job. And she's also very hot. I mean, this is the best, like the hottest we've had Catwoman be since Halle Berry played her in that shitty movie. She is the next Halle Berry, but she's the good Halle Berry Catwoman. That's what she is. Because it's a lot of the stylized choices and her mannerisms. You can tell she took a lot of inspiration from Halle Berry in terms of mannerisms and how she acts. but she is a more in-depth character. And I think honestly, the Batman Returns Catwoman is worse than than Zoe Kravitz Catgirl. Fuck. And I think Robert Pattinson he's kind of hit or miss in the role, because I don't think he's a very good Bruce Wayne. I think he's a good Batman, but I don't think he's the best Bruce Wayne. He's a little too moody. He's like, I'm an angsty teen. But we're not gonna like act like the acting in this movie's bad, because Colin Farrell fucking kills it. And he might say Colin Farrell kills it, but I need people to know that Colin Farrell as the Penguin, and I've watched most of the Penguin show, he's fucking amazing. He's perfect. I think everybody in this movie's cast perfect, and I'm gonna die on that hill.
It's kind of flirty. Me. I didn't see anything particularly wrong with her performance. I just didn't see a lot right with her performance. You have John Turturro showing up as Carmine Falcone, and he is John Turturro, so he's okay. He's somewhat menacing. The best performance in the film is Colin Farrell playing the Penguin. You literally cannot spot Colin Farrell in this makeup. There is no way that you can see Colin Farrell here. The whole movie, I'm staring at him going, that's not Colin. It is Colin Farrell. It's the best performance in the movie. Paul Dano gives a good performance in the film, although he's sort of playing the Joker a little bit, although he's playing it more.
Well, Paul Dano played Paul Dano. He was my least favorite part of the movie, his character, and I like him as an actor, but he literally is just playing Paul Dano like he does in every single fucking movie, and I think everyone else's performance was outstanding, but Paul Dano's was just kind of like he's playing fucking Paul Dano. He's playing almost the same part he played in that, there's a movie where he's a serial killer, and I cannot remember what it's called, but I remember liking it a lot.
More wide-eyed, as Paul Dano is apt to do. The main character of the film is the Riddler, and herein lies the main problem with the film. The biggest problem with the film is that the film hates Batman.
No, it doesn't.
Like the actual Batman character hates the Batman character. And this drives me up an absolute wall. The biggest problem with the film is not the wokeness. Yes, there's some woke touches. You have Catwoman, who is a woman of color, who is, of course, good. And you have the black female mayor, who is good. And you have the black Jim Gordon, who is good. Every white character.
Okay, I'm gonna step in for Jeffrey Wright. Jeffrey Wright killed it as Jim Gordon, and so I'm on the firm belief that you should cast whoever's perfect for the role. Sometimes that might be a race swap. Hence the Equalizer and Denzel Washington. He was the perfect choice for that role. It does suck when they just slap somebody in and then they're like, you have to like this because we're swapping it. And that does annoy me. It does annoy me when it just feels like it's done for political reasons. Jeffrey Wright, though, fucking is perfect in this role. And I think that I can't see it any other way. Because, like, of course, I like, there's a lot of actors who, like, Gary Oldman, who played it really, really well. But Jeffrey Wright was just such a good casting. When I saw him as the cast, I was like, I could see Jeffrey Wright in this part.
Is apparently bad, like all of them. Fine, whatever. I don't really care about that. That's fine. You have Catwoman say stuff about white privileged elites, and she makes a suggestion that Bruce Wayne is a child when his parents were killed. He doesn't really have a right to be super upset about that because, of course, he was very, very rich. That doesn't, kind of rings hollow.
That fucking speech annoyed the shit out of me. That was the worst part of the movie, was that speech she gave, and it was just so bad. It felt out of place. It felt forced. It felt like they had to put a speech in like that. It's okay, Savannah. I know you want to talk. Well, what are your opinions of Batman? Tell them. Now you say nothing. Now she says nothing. But yeah, it just felt out of place, and I remember thinking I really didn't like that, and that was the worst part of the movie.
Now, a lot of these lines seem like throwaways for film lefty Twitter, but the main theme is not a throwaway. The main theme is what matters here. The film despises Batman. So every Batman iteration has to explain why a man who is a billionaire would dress up like a bat and go around beating up criminals. It's not answered, and the director doesn't know, and the writer doesn't know, and this is the problem.
No, it doesn't have to explain it. That was my favorite part of this movie. That was my favorite, because, like, you look at the Batman, 89 Batman, right? They don't explain why he's Batman. He's just fucking Batman. In this one, he becomes Batman, and he doesn't need to explain to you why he's fucking Batman. He's just Batman. I liked that. We didn't spend a... What? What's up? Huh? You don't need to explain in every fucking movie the whole backstory every single time. You can just start the movie. I was so happy it didn't do the fucking backstory thing.
So in the Nolan films, to take the contrast, the question as to why Batman does this is because if Batman does not actually intimidate the criminal underworld because the city is so corrupt, no one else will do it, and money isn't going to solve the problem. And so he needs to create a theatrical kind of fear in order to dissuade the criminal underworld from participating. And then, as it turns out, he also has to save the city itself and demonstrate his faith in the city by becoming a symbol. Here, you don't really know why Batman is doing what he's doing. It's never explained. He's very wealthy.
You don't need to explain it to you. You can look at every single scene, every single set design. You already explained that it looks like the 70s post-apocalyptic future. Nobody's doing anything, so he's doing it. That's all you need. That's it. That's what they did so well in this movie, is they let the atmosphere and the world building show you why the Batman's needed. They didn't do it with exposition like they did in the Christopher Nolan movie. They just did it. And I appreciated that because they showed, they didn't tell.
He doesn't apparently do anything with his wealth. He doesn't try to give charity. He doesn't try, I mean, this actually made a plot point. He's a bad man because he's white. He's a bad white man who doesn't actually give charity. He's not involved, and he's not playing that as a role. Again, this is part of the problem, is that Bruce Wayne and Batman are the same character. So if you, I keep using the Nolan comparison because it is the gold standard for all superhero movies, not just Batman.
Yeah, dude, I can understand why Turkey Tom would get annoyed, because he's just not fucking. It's like he closed his eyes and then would open his eyes whenever something annoyed him, and then refused to look at context clues of the world. He ignored all of the world building that was told through the disasters that this world is, in order to just say, yeah, I needed you to tell me it, because my wife's pussy doesn't get wet. You know, it's like he needs you to fucking spell it out to him like a child, and that's so sad. It's so sad that he didn't have the critical thinking skills to be able to look at this and say, oh, the reason he's the Batman is because every street is on fire.
Movies. So when you look at Nolan's Batman, Bruce Wayne is the character that Batman is playing. Okay, Bruce Wayne is not real. Batman is real. Batman is who Bruce Wayne really is. And so he has to play a fop. In Batman Begins, he's squiring around ladies in his Lamborghini, and he's buying hotels, and he's doing all of this just to cover up for the fact that he is Batman. So you get very separate Batman and Bruce Wayne. You get the same thing actually with Michael Keaton. Batman and Bruce Wayne are two different characters. Here, Batman and Bruce Wayne are the exact same characters.
Well, here's another thing. I know I'm pausing it again, but this is so fucking irritating. The point of this movie was this is his first time being Batman, right? We're not getting the long, drawn-out backstory. We're not getting the explain why he needs to do it or all that other bullshit. But he hasn't figured out internally yet what the difference should be with Batman and Bruce Wayne. So you get that context from other characters talking to him, like, oh, you just kind of fucking show up. You're a whiny rich boy. Everybody just assumes everything about him because he hasn't done any of the legwork to be Bruce Wayne yet. And I think that's where it kind of for me was like, oh, he's not a great Bruce Wayne because he hasn't tried to be a good Bruce Wayne yet, because the movie, he hasn't gotten to that character arc yet as a character. He's simply wanting to be the Batman, wanting to end a crime, doesn't care about anything else. He has his goals, but he also realizes that he's the son of one of the biggest industry people in the entire city, and he hasn't realized how to deal with that responsibility yet. And how other people look at him. Oh, you don't donate to charity. Well, we're going to judge you here. We're going to judge you there. And so he doesn't know how to be Bruce Wayne. So yes, it's the weakest part of the film. But honestly, I think that in future iterations, if they don't address some of that, would be such a misstep. But it feels like it was necessary. Now, again, they could fuck this all up with a sequel. I don't know. But in the movie, that's what I thought. I was like, well, he's not a great Bruce Wayne, but he doesn't know how to be a great Bruce Wayne yet. He hasn't had it seems like he left, came back, decided to be the Batman, and now he has to deal with all this bullshit Bruce Wayne stuff that he doesn't want to deal with, that he doesn't know how to navigate around.
There are points where Bruce Wayne is walking around. He's got the same dour expression, same glazed look, same kind of emo thing going on as Batman does the entire movie. And so there's no dichotomy. Alrighty, folks, well, I may not have loved the Batman, but here's the thing. Real Batman knows how to protect himself and protect his family, and you should too, because you need Ring Alarm. It's true. Ring makes an alarm. Ring Alarm is an award-winning home security system with available professional monitoring. It's more than just security. Ring Alarm can help protect your home from flooding, freeze, and fire as well. Ring Alarm works on any house or apartment. So here's the actual plot of the film. Batman has only been Batman for a couple of years, so he's not really good at Batmaning yet. And he is tracking down criminals, and he gets drawn into a plot by the Riddler. The Riddler is giving clues so that Batman can track down all the way through the system of Gotham, this citywide corruption that apparently is going to bring down the entire superstructure of faith in the city. Meanwhile, you have Catwoman, who's Selena Kyle, played by Zoe Kravitz. And Zoe Kravitz is similarly engaged in an attempt to commit a robbery against one of these underworld figures, but she's drawn into Batman's orbit by a murder that both of them are investigating at the same time, the murder of her roommate, maybe something more going on there. The Riddler is the main villain of the movie. You see the Penguin a fair bit. Carmine Falcone is one of the big characters in the movie. You get a little bit of Alfred.
And so here's the thing. With the fucking Falcones and stuff, this is the first time in a Batman movie we have gotten to see the underbelly of the Batman universe, which you get in the comic books, you get in the cartoons, but it seems like they just always introduce villain, here's story, go fight villain. And finally, a movie decides to actually build the world of Gotham City, and he's complaining about it. I'm a Batman fan, but I don't understand why we're doing all this other stuff and not just focusing on the Riddler. You're not a Batman fan, you're a fan of the fucking movies. I refuse to believe you read the comic books, because the comic books and like the animated series and all this other shit actually dive into the Falcones. They dive into these mafia struggles and all this other stuff that Batman also deals with alongside dealing with the villain. This is the only movie to do that, which is, if you're a Batman fan, this was a fucking win in that. I was so happy. You have no idea how happy I was to see a Batman movie actually go in and do some world building that the comic books usually do. It's why a lot of comic book movies kind of are not flops, but aren't great representations of the comic book, because they feel like they're trying to be a Superman or superhero movie instead of being a comic book movie. It's why anime a lot of times gets a better rap, because of the fact that they actually, the good anime actually adapts the stories that they come from. So this actually felt like an adaptation of the crime world of Gotham that you don't get to see in anything else. They talk about the crime world, they talk all this other stuff, but it's like, oh, big villain, he's gonna do a bad thing, we gotta stop big villain. This time it was like Batman's dealing with the underbelly of Gotham, Batman's also dealing with the criminal, and that's what Batman has to do. He has to juggle all these things at the same time, because Gotham is this fucking grimy, awful place, and that dichotomy is also what makes it interesting that he hasn't figured out how to be Bruce Wayne yet. He only knows how to juggle a few things at a time right now. It's like Ben Shapiro will say, oh, he's only been Batman for like 2 years. Why hasn't he figured out how to be Bruce Wayne as well? It's like, dude, he's all like that. You've answered your own fucking question. You're God. This is why Brett Cooper left the Daily Wire right here. This fucking Batman review.
Jim Gordon, whose main job in this film is apparently just to say Jesus over and over again.
Christ, it's Coulson.
Whenever something bad happens, he just goes, Jesus. And that happens like 6 times. Like, Jim Gordon does nothing except for basically stop Batman from getting arrested a lot. That's pretty much all he does. He's a bad detective. He doesn't do anything. The plot is that all these people get killed. Batman uncovers it. He realizes that his dad was corrupt also, or that his dad engaged in corruption.
Well, that's the thing. Jim Gordon was the guy that understood that Batman is the world's greatest detective. He knew that he needed Batman's intelligence to figure this stuff out. So the fact that they had Jim Gordon as the guy that just summons the Batman, I mean, that's all fucking the other Jim Gordons did. Like, what? Why are you going after him? I felt like his portrayal was really good, because he's just a guy going to work. He knows his job. He works with a bunch of corrupt cops. They don't want him diving into this shit. So he just plays the fall guy. And he plays the guy that protects the Batman. I thought he did a good job. And could you imagine being a cop in this world? Again, the world building kind of proves all of his shit wrong, which obviously he ignored every single piece of world building in this film.
With Carmine Falcone. Finally, we get to the end. Paul Dano does it's such a ripoff of Seven. He gives himself up. He doesn't get captured by Batman. Batman does not prevent a single one of these deaths. Batman, in fact, is complicit in one of the deaths by accident. And he doesn't actually capture the Riddler because he's clever. The Riddler gives himself up by sitting at a diner.
And that's what's brilliant. Like I said, I think that there's a lot of mistakes with the Riddler, mainly with his costume. But I like the idea of him being a character like what's his face in Seven? I can't remember the dude who like had sex with all those boys, allegedly. God damn it, he was in The Negotiator as well. Anyways, Kevin Spacey. The dichotomy of him being this ultimate like crazy individual who spent all this time, like, these are the type of people who will find out every piece of dirt you've ever sent on 4chan. You think that Batman's dealt with this? No, he's been dealing with fucking mobsters and shit for the last 2 years. He's been dealing with thugs. Now he has somebody as an intellectual equal to play with, and he lets him himself get caught. I mean, this is what the Joker did. You're not sitting here complaining about Heath Ledger's Joker. It was a cool fucking, I have your number, Batman. You're not good enough to beat me. And it was such a cool twist.
And getting arrested. Then he unleashes a bombing of Gotham that essentially causes the flooding of the city. And Batman goes to the Madison Square Garden, where a mayoral event is now being held for the brand new mayor, who is an uplifting black female who has no other story or backstory, so she's really uninteresting. It starts to flood. And up on top, in the wings, are a bunch of Paul Dano's followers, are a bunch of the Riddler's followers who are all dressed like the Riddler, and they are shooting down into the crowd to try and kill members of the elite in Gotham City. And so Batman goes up there and he's beating people up. There comes a point where he's beating this guy, and he's really, like, maybe beating him almost to death. And he stops, and they take off that guy's mask, and they say, "Who are you?" And the guy says, "I am vengeance." Okay, now this is the theme throughout the film. Ooh, the theme. Okay, so in order to explain why this is a problem, you have to now understand the character of the Riddler. So it says right at the beginning of the movie, "Who is Batman? I'm vengeance," right? He's just on the streets and he's beating people up.
I'm vengeance.
And then people keep...
Ben Shapiro, you stupid fucking cum NATO piece of shit. You fucking man who thinks that all vaginas have teeth and shit. You goddamn no knowledge having motherfucker. You goddamn fucking jizz falcon, menstruating lake piece of shit. You missed every single point. Yes, it's the theme. Yes, it's the point. Because he doesn't see it as anything other than vengeance on the loss of his parents. That's why he's a bad Bruce Wayne. That's why all the context is just he's as dirty as the world that he's fighting against. This is all a good jumping point for what is to be a film series. For character growth. He realizes by the end of the film that he can't be that vengeance anymore. Because by thinking that way, it led to a lot of people getting hurt. It's like context, motherfucker. Do you get it?
Keep calling him Mr. Vengeance for no apparent reason. Like, we don't know why they're calling him that, because he never actually publicly says he's vengeance. It's in his creepy diary, which again is supposed to be a mirror image of the fact that the Riddler also keeps a Zodiac Killer style diary. So they're supposed to be two halves of the same whole. Batman is beating up this follower of the Riddler's. He takes off his mask and the guy says, "I'm vengeance." And suddenly Batman sees. Suddenly Batman realizes he can't be vengeance. That's not what he's meant to do.
Yes! Yes, it was a great moment where he realizes that he needs to be more than just the fist of vengeance. He needs to be the symbol. All of the things you fucking said, Ben Shapiro! Everything you've said in this fucking stupid-ass review, you've literally proved yourself wrong. Facts don't care about logic, or facts don't care about feelings. This is literally your fucking rhetoric biting you in the ass, you stupid fuck. With your fucking eyebrows and weird butt lip.
He's betrayed his mission. And so
that's why you have a butt lip, is because all you do is spew shit.
And descends on an electrified cable because he's trying to stop people from being electrocuted by this flying electrical wire. And he cuts off the cable. He's holding on to it. He falls down into the water, a rebaptism. He gets up, and then he proceeds to lead a bunch of people who are not really trapped, but kind of trapped, I suppose. And he leads them to, I guess, a safer place by carrying a torch. And then he goes up to the top of Madison Square Garden, and he is helping people be airlifted and evac'd out, medevac'd out. And this is how he has learned fulfillment. So what is this movie about? This movie is about how fighting criminality does not actually help innocent people. He says this at the very beginning. He says, "I'm not sure I'm doing any good. I'm not sure I'm doing any good."
That is not what the movie's about, you fucking idiot.
By fighting the criminals, crime is still up. It turns out that Batman has to stop being Batman. Batman has been missing it the whole time. What Batman really has to be is Superman. Batman needs to go into areas like Madison Square Garden and not fight the criminals. He needs to go and lead people with a torch to a slightly safer area. He needs to help medevac.
That is not what the movie was about at all. It's about him understanding that Batman needs to be more than a guy that punches criminals in the face. He needs to be the symbol for Gotham to move forward. You fucking retard.
People on the top of it. He needs to build habitat for humanity. He needs to join Jimmy Carter and build houses for homeless people. That's what Batman needs to be doing. This really is a sort of attack on the idea.
No. How did you get that from this film? Savannah, why is Ben Shapiro such an idiot? Tell everybody why Ben Shapiro's an idiot. Yeah, no, that's she's left speechless. My daughter is so speechless because she has a better understanding of like themes in a movie than Ben Shapiro does. She can't even look at the screen because of how retarded this man is being. I didn't like the Batman because I didn't pay attention to anything what was going on. I sat on my phone and read what was going on the fucking Politico ads, and I needed to know what was going on for my next video about how the left is destroying the economy, instead of actually paying attention to what was happening in this movie through context clues.
That fighting crime helps innocent people. It's an almost defund the police.
Am I conservative or liberal? I am a libertarian, bro. Here's the thing. I find myself sometimes agreeing with conservatives. Most of the time I agree with conservatives than I do with, like, you will never find me being like, oh, dude, communism? That sounds dope. That's the stupidest fucking political thing ever. Socialism? Oh, no, fuck, I don't like socialism. I don't think we should give the government any power, because the government took like 3 fucking years to figure out who, like, the serial fucking molester Mr. Swirl was, because they couldn't figure out how to unswirl an image. So I'm not gonna trust them with my entire life. But when it comes to, like, being fucking stupid, I like to call it out on both sides. And right now, Ben Shapiro is being a fucking idiot, dude. He's being a fucking moron because he doesn't know how to, like, he was looking for reasons to hate this because it was going to be good for his conservative audience to just hate everything. And I don't like that. I don't like going into anything with hate. And it seems like he was looking for reasons to hate this Batman movie while pretending to be a Batman fan, when the Batman has the best Batman character or, like, world building out of all the movies. It is the first time we see an actual Gotham that is living and breathing and not just set dressing for fighting a main villain. And that's, like, where I'm gonna, like, I don't like being put into a fucking box for my, like, who I should be. Oh, well, you should be this because you have some sort of conservative lines, or you should be this because sometimes you agree with, like, liberals or whatever. I hate how people will kind of, like, grift themselves into this corner where everything has to be political. I'm just looking at this as a movie review and not as, like, a conservative guy giving a movie review. And as a movie reviewer, this is dog shit. This is fucking AIDS on toast. This is fucking chlamydia getting shoved up in your ass for no reason. This is just trash. If you wanted to talk about how annoying the Catwoman speech was and how fucking cringe and left-wing that was, absolutely agree. It was an annoying fucking you're a white privileged guy speech, and it came off as fucking cringe in the movie, and I would agree with that. The rest of the film I thought was fantastic.
Attitude toward what crime is.
And I know I'm coming off very hostile, and I don't mean to come off as so hostile on you guys, chat, but I'm listening to Mr. fucking Stupid over here miss context clues on when they're fucking literally sitting on his face. They're sitting on his face. What do you expect me to do? Lick that? Because I don't understand what I'm supposed to do. I thought all sexual encounters were just supposed to be me inserted and then me leave. Why are you sitting on my face? Like, it's like he doesn't understand he's supposed to lick, buddy.
And it's an attack on the basic idea that individuals are capable of doing justice by finding bad guys and fighting them. Instead, apparently, individuals are only capable of doing nice things by helping little old ladies cross the street. It's this sort of mentality that has led to New York turning into Gotham City in the last couple of years, by the way. That's a fundamental betrayal of what Batman is. What makes Batman different from the Riddler and than any of these other criminals is these criminals target innocent people, and Batman targets criminals. That's the basis of the character. The entire basis.
So there's this guy named Praise of Shadows, right? He made this video on, it was The Hills Have Eyes, right? He made this video on The Hills Have Eyes, where he said where he compares the fucking cannibals to, like, Native Americans and shit, and it was like one of the worst reviews ever. It's like this weird, he's inserting all of his personal politics into this film to make this fever dream happen, and that's exactly what Ben Shapiro is. And just like with the Praise the Shadows thing, it was a bad review where he was like, I'm rooting for the fucking cannibals instead of the normal family because they're white and white people are always bad. And I'm like, you're a fucking idiot. And then Ben Shapiro here is forcing his own politics into this film at every single turn and ignoring everything else about the film to prove himself right. He is self-aggrandizing himself until he comes. It's so dumb.
The character is the cops are bad at targeting criminals because they're corrupt. Batman is good at targeting criminals because he's smart, and because he's rich, and because he's
So this stream started out as me. This stream started out as me fucking talking shit on it Jeremy Boring because of the whole Brett Cooper thing. Then somebody told me to watch The Critical Drinker. I watched him, and then somebody told me to watch this. That's why you're caught up. You're caught up. We're here, and I'm watching one of the worst movie reviews I've ever seen in my entire life. I have literally like this is enough to make my penis never not invert again, dude. It feels like it's like negative 75 degrees in this room because of how like it's just awful, dude. It's just such a bad review, dude. This is fucking ball shriveling bad, dude. This is as bad as The Acolyte is. Like The Acolyte pretends to be a Star Wars IP. This pretends to be a good movie review. There is nothing good about this.
he's incorruptible. That's the entire basis of Batman. And they take all that and they flip it on its head because they don't like Batman. And this is why I have real problems with the movie. I kind of hate the movie. Like, the more I think about it, the more I get angry at it. Because they take the fundamental idea of what Batman is supposed to be, the protector of the innocent who targets the criminal, and they say that if he targets the criminal, this makes him no different than criminals. Because Paul Dano, who's the Riddler, is also targeting criminals. All the way up until the very end, when they have to just sort of add on this attack on Madison Square.
Oh, dude, it's so bad. It's so fucking bad, dude. This is the opposite of slapping clit. Like, when I say something's good, I always say it slaps clit. This does not slap clit. This is he's never found the clit. He doesn't know what the clit is. He doesn't think the clit's real. Every woman he's ever touched, they're just like, why are you just trying to shove your fist in my vagina? Like, what the fuck, dude? What the fuck is this? That's not the point of the movie at all. At all, not even in the slightest. Yes, he understands that he has to fight crime, but what he's been doing is basically punching thugs in the face every day. Because he's mad. He's an angsty fucking boy. He's a big angsty boy. And he realizes by being a big angsty boy, he's just not really solving any of the big problems. The city's not going to get better if he just keeps punching random fucking biker gangs at the subway. He's like, oh, look at this angry homeless guy with a machete. I'm going to beat his fucking brains in. Wow, look at me. I'm vengeance. I'm getting vengeance. He finally realizes that there's more moving parts, and throughout the film he starts to actually like investigate and dive into the seedy underbellies of Gotham, the Falcones, the Malcones, or whatever they're called. He's diving into the inner things, and then when you watch something like The Penguin that really broadens this idea and breathes life into what this world building that they're trying to go for the Batman is, you start to realize that wow, it actually cares more than any other Batman IP has, because it's doing the fucking legwork. And you're going through this journey learning what it means to be Batman with Batman himself, instead of just having it told to you what it means to be Batman. Oh, you need to be a symbol. Oh, you need to do this. He's like, I'm gonna be a symbol. I'm gonna be this. It's like all the other Batman movies, he just kind of fucking is told what he needs to be, and then he's that. This one is showing you his journey to becoming that without showing his origin story, getting you to the action, getting you to the understanding, letting the world tell you the fucking stuff. It's like, this is why he doesn't know his wife's pussy gets wet sometimes, and it only gets wet for Brett Cooper. That's why she got kicked off the Daily Wire, is because Ben Shapiro found out that his wife gets wet whenever she sees Ben Shapiro. I mean, whenever she sees Brett Cooper, she's like, wow, it's like you, but actually hot, not retarded.
Square Garden and New York Broad Writ for no reason. He has no motivation for blowing up a bunch of trucks and flooding downtown. Like, none. He doesn't explain.
That's the point. He's a villain. You don't need a villain to explain everything. Sometimes villains just fucking suck, and that's what was so great about it, is he was crazy. It was so nice to have a villain that like had all this build up to what he was, and he did the crazy thing just because he was fucking crazy. It was nice to have a villain that I didn't have to go into their entire backstory and understand all their things. It was what was great about the Heath Ledger Joker, and it's like, wow, dude, he's just fucking awful. Wow, and it made for a memorable villain because he was so over-the-top awful, but you had an understanding about him. He was clever. He was over-the-top, but over-the-top in a believable way. It did everything I was complaining about. One of the problems with modern writing where they don't understand good villains, this movie did the good villain well. It's like, wow, what the fuck, dude? Understanding of good story structure. Wow. Oh, dude, I bet the Ben Shapiro Daily Wire movies are just fucking awesome, dude. I bet they're really good if this is his understanding for film.
Explain why he does it. He doesn't explain what the purpose of it is. All the way along, he's been saying, I'm exposing the true face of Gotham. Okay, that's a rationale. But what does that have to do with blowing up the city? They add that on just so that they can create a false distinction between Batman and the Riddler so that Batman can change his mission. So now Batman's mission.
Well, that's the thing. The Riddler was setting it up as Batman only works for the elites. Like, you could go for that one. Like, he wants to utilize Batman in a way, right? I haven't seen the movie in a while, so I might be off base here. But, like, there's a million, like, everything is, like, laid out. I felt like everything was laid out in a pretty fucking simple way. And then his followers were going to take down the elites because he was saying that the elites were the problem in Gotham. So his followers were going out. And then he had cultivated this fan of, this group of fucking psychos. It was like, and it finally made having henchmen make sense. That was another thing. They were people of the same mentality, of the same craziness that were willing to follow him. And I'm like, wow, finally, something made the henchmen make sense. Like, I don't know, dude. I don't know. This is so fucking bad, dude. This is fucking awful.
Is not beating up bad guys and stopping bad guys. Now Batman's mission is to be a firefighter. He's no longer a detective or a police officer. He's a firefighter. That's a betrayal, and it's a real problem.
Yo, so you're telling me if there was a fire in the Batman comics, he wouldn't try to stop the fire and save the people in the firehouse? Like, let's say a house is on fire and Batman's fucking gliding by. You think Batman's gonna be like, no, I'm not a firefighter, deuces. I'm not gonna save those lives. I'm Batman. I gotta go punch somebody in the face. What the fuck are you talking about, Ben Shapiro?
And that's my biggest issue with the film. It just feels like
the only Daily Wire movie I ever wanted to watch was the one with Thomas Jane, because I watch almost everything with Thomas Jane whenever I see it. Like, if I'm scrolling through movies and I see a movie with Thomas Jane, I watch it just because he was so good as the Punisher.
Such a sellout. It feels like such a sellout of what Batman is supposed to be. Again, it's got a little bit of woke politics, but that's really not the problem.
But the Daily Wire movies I've seen are pretty mid. Terror on Prairie was cheeks, though. Dude, yeah, dude, it's like, if this is your fucking understanding of a movie, I don't want to watch anything you create, buddy. I'm sorry. If you couldn't, like, figure out the nuances of world building, you went into that shit with blinders on. And we're like, why isn't Batman the symbol? Like, Jesus, what an idiot.
The problem is the broader woke orientation of the film. If the Nolan Batman was about the idea that you help innocent people by fighting criminality and provide an inspiration to people to fight criminality, if that's the idea of Batman.
That's not what the idea in Batman Begins was, bro. The idea in Batman Begins was he was just fucking fighting people. Like, Batman Begins, he wasn't a symbol or wasn't anything else. That wasn't the way it was going until later. Like, he was a big sad boy that trained in the mountains and then had to fight the guy who trained him in the mountains in Batman Begins. He was like, I gotta save the city because of Ra's al Ghul. Like, it was pretty fucking, like, I'm gonna kill all the criminals and I'm just gonna purge this place off the world because Gotham's so bad. And then Bane comes in, he's like, I'm gonna purge all the people off the world and Gotham is bad. Like, because he, like, there's a reason why Bane was doing the same thing. I understand that it was Ra's al Ghul's daughter that was running it all. But it's like, I don't know.
Which it is. That's completely thrown on its head here. Matt Reeves, who's credited as both a director and a writer on the film, he does not like Batman, and I can't get over this. How do you give $150 million to a dude?
When has Matt Reeves ever said he doesn't like Batman? Where in the world has this, like, fucking big fucking expose on Matt Reeves at? Because I feel like he is the first person to actually build the world of Gotham, and no other person has done that. Like, Christopher Nolan literally did the opposite of a comic book inspired Batman movie. The Christopher Nolan movies are good, but they're bad Batman movies, to be honest. They're like the Hellboy movies. The Hellboy movies are good movies, but they're bad Hellboy movies. Like, Christopher Nolan movies are not good Batman movies. If you like Batman comics, the Christopher Nolan movies are not good Batman movies. They're literally just fucking what if Batman was real and how would it work? Here you go. Like, because they had a good director, that's why they were good. But they're not, like, great Batman films. I'm sorry. Like, I like them good enough as what they are. I think they're fantastic for what they are. The idea of what if Batman was real is a good idea. But as Batman movies, as, like, portraying these characters, they weren't good portrayal of any of the, like, good actual comic portrayals of them. If you're talking from your superiority of being a comic nerd, you would know that the Batman, Nolan Batman movies aren't really that accurate to the comics in any sort of fucking way. I don't. And I'm not even the biggest Batman fan, and I know that. Like, I know I had fun with all those movies. Batman Begins was kind of mid. I'm not the biggest Batman Begins fan. I thought it was okay, but I'm never going to rewatch it. But when it comes to The Dark Knight, I love The Dark Knight. The Dark Knight Rises, I think, is a fantastic film. I like the Batman 89, Batman Returns. I even liked the Batman with Val Kilmer, whatever that one's called. Batman Forever. But it's like the lack of understanding of why it's
to make a movie about Batman when he clearly
like he already brought up the 80s Batman movies like they were some fucking big reveal when Tim Burton literally made the Penguin a fucking penguin. He made him like a fucking biohazard half penguin, half man, which is so stupid. But I like that movie. I think it's good, but I know that that's not a real version of the Penguin. Like, the Penguin is better. The better adaptation of the Penguin is Matt Reeves' Penguin because he understands what the character is. Like, what the fuck, dude? Yeah, you're a comic book fan, though. You're real fucking... Thank you for speaking out for all comic book fans here. With your fucking huge lack of understanding of the comics.
he does not like Batman. When he thinks that Batman is bad. And that Batman has to be shown the error of his ways and learn to be a nicer human being. By the way, at the very end of the movie, Catwoman, who at no point has actually demonstrated any sort of moral bona fides. Like, I'm not sure she does a moral thing in the entire movie. At the very end, she says to him, why don't you run away with me? And we'll go rob some hedge fund CEOs. And he doesn't say back to her, you know, that's bad to rob hedge fund CEOs. Instead, he's like, he thinks about it for a moment. He's like, she's like, no, you belong in Gotham. The generalized cheap left-wing sensibility is very silly with regard to Catwoman. If I have not made clear at this point, the movie's also 8 hours long. It's like a Wagnerian ring cycle, this film. It just goes on and on and on. Every shot is composed in order to have people walk across rooms. Like, Christopher Nolan would snap that cut right to the action. If you watch Dark Knight, there is no wasted motion in that film, and it's 2.5 hours long. This is 3 hours long, and it feels like 4. I never check my watch during movies, particularly not a Batman movie, and I check my watch at least twice during this film. It's better than Marvel, because...
Dude, the walking, he was ignoring all of the fucking, the story building. He ignored all of the story building because he was too busy just fucking waiting for flashy action. He wanted this shit to be a Michael Bay movie when it was actually trying to do world building in the Batman universe. This is so bullshit, dude. I didn't think I was gonna hate this much. I didn't think I was gonna get this mad. But this fucking taint wagon of an idiot, dude, with his giant fucking eyebrows. And I don't have a lot of room to talk because I have massive eyebrows. But dear God, those fucking caterpillars. They must be sucking his brain out to provide hair to his eyebrows. This is his interpretation of Batman.
Everything's better than Marvel because Marvel doesn't take characters seriously and Marvel feels like cotton candy. This doesn't feel like cotton candy. It just feels like a fundamental betrayal of the character, which is just, it's lazy writing. And more than that, it's not nice to the audience. The audience wants to see Batman be Batman and be good at being Batman and know why he's being Batman. They don't want to see Batman learn the lesson that being Batman is bad. That defeats the purpose of going to a Batman film. Alrighty, so that is my review of The Batman. I know. A lot of people really like the movie because, hey, it's Batman. It's hard to dislike Batman. But folks, if you like this video, please like and subscribe.
No, dude, it's awful. I will refuse to subscribe to you ever because of this video. This is so bad. Okay, like, one video doesn't make it you completely invalidated. I'm just not the biggest Ben Shapiro fan. But on top of that, like, I went into this feeling like I didn't know it was this fucking bad, dude. Jesus. This is the worst review I have ever seen. This is so bad. Like, this is actually retarded. This is actually like I think Jack Nicholas Nicholas or whatever, Jack Nicholson's son, fucking the original Joker. I think his character from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest after the lobotomy would have done a better review. Ben Shapiro, the type of guy that hates Star Wars content unless they're lightsabers. And you know what? I actually I think like The Mandalorian was really good. And here's the thing too, there's a lot of Star Wars content that is just fucking dog shit now. And it's like there's a lot of things to gripe about them with. And most of the time this is my problem with these fucking like well, everything's woke channels too, is it's you get into shit like this where they want it to be woke, so they will it into existence, and then they get mad. I missed the guy. I was before this Batman review. Oh my god, dude, it's so bad. It's so bad. It's just so dumb, dude. It's so dumb. This is such a bad review. It's so fucking stupid. It's actually the most retarded thing I've ever seen, and I'm like honestly hurting in my mind. My mind fucking hurts. It's like I can't understand this type of retardation to where you went through the whole movie and you weren't just mind blown. As a fan, as a fan of Batman, like I was sitting in that movie, my eyes were just, I was just sucking it in so deep, like that, like the prostitutes who know how to suck a golf ball through a hose, they didn't have the ability of sucking that I had for sucking in the atmosphere in the world building from the Batman movie. It was the first time we got a real, like an actual lived in Gotham that wasn't just set dressing. And this fucking Batman fan didn't see it. Now there are gripes and there are some woke movie or moments in the Batman, which I completely like. Most of them revolved around the Catwoman character. I still think she did a good job with it. I just think some of the writing was forced just to add that shit in because of the weird left-wing gripes about Batman being a billionaire who beats up criminals. Hey, I felt like they did put some of that stuff in the movie, which there is gripes, but to just like ignore everything else. That's my problem. It's like, oh, one bad scene in the movie, all of a sudden the whole fucking thing's woke. This was garbage. This is trash. Ben Shapiro, delete your channel. Give it to Brett Cooper. She knows how to get your wife's pussy wet. And with that, guys, I think I'm getting off for the night. I appreciate you all. Thank you all for coming out. Make sure to like and subscribe. And I'm going to bed because I need to fucking close my eyes and wash the disgust out of my body.